Alrighty, well, welcome to SCO's February webinar on SCO resources and student services. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy. My name is Avery Cunningham, and I am a student services and admissions officer here at SCO. Before we get started, I ask that we all use proper Zoom etiquette by keeping microphones muted unless speaking, limiting background noise, and respecting all of this webinar's attendees and facilitators. We will have time for questions towards the end of the webinar, but in the meantime, if you do have any questions or concerns that need immediate attention, please use our chat feature to communicate with us. Today, Dr. Carrie Leibowitz, Director of Academic Support Services, and Dr. Jeanette Pepper, the Coordinator of Student Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, will discuss the many services that SCO offers students to ensure they feel seen, heard, and supported. Alrighty, so real quickly, Dr. Leibowitz and Dr. Pepper, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hello, I am Dr. Carrie Leibowitz, the one pictured on the left. And I will just say that I'm really glad my camera is not on today, or you all would accuse me of false advertising. I am recovering from the flu, so please forgive any coughing that happens today.
Hey, y'all, I'm Dr. Pepper, just like the soda. So thank you all so much for being here today. As you will pick up on, if you haven't already, Dr. Leibowitz is hilarious. So this should be a fun time today.
Excellent. Well, thank you both so much. So we'll go ahead and get started. And what I'll do is start off by reading some common questions we have from students regarding academic advising. And both you, Dr. Leibowitz and Dr. Pepper, can answer accordingly with your expertise. So starting off, how are faculty advisors assigned?
Okay, that is my area. And I have changed the way that faculty advisors are assigned from year to year in the last 3 years. Actually, not from year to year, just from time to time. In the last little while since we went back to regular instruction post-pandemic, I have been placing advisors with their advisee groups based on lab groups so that it is easiest for the faculty advisor to schedule with their group, so that if everyone in their advisor group is in the same lab group, then all of those students will have the same afternoon off and they have the same schedule. And so then that allows the faculty advisor more convenient time to get together with their students. However, if I do see a particular fitting with a student, so let's say that we have a student that's from a state that we don't normally have, or a state that we don't have a lot of students from, then I will try to pair them with a faculty advisor that is from that region of the country, so on and so forth. So I do initially the choice is by schedule, and then I go back through and see if there's any individual needs that I feel should be met, and then I would adjust the groups accordingly.
Wonderful, thank you. So then our next question, what do faculty advisors do when the curriculum is the same for everyone?
That is an excellent question. And the answer, in all honesty, is not much. As long as everything is going well for you, your grades are where you would like them to be, then your faculty advisor is just there for you to call on should you need them. You don't need them to decide which classes come next and all of that. That is predetermined. But since each of our faculty members are optometrists, they have all been through optometry school, they are really there for those of their students who are not doing as well as they would like. Or if you have concerns that are not academic in nature, then you can certainly reach out to your faculty advisor. So if you are having a difficult time finding a grocery store that you like, or or you're having trouble transitioning from home, then you can reach out to your faculty advisor for that type of issue as well.
Thank you so much. And then do you have any peer mentoring programs? And if so, how are they assigned?
The thing that comes to mind initially is the tutoring program is what we rely on heavily at SCO. So, and I know that we're going to get to the tutoring program in just a little bit, but I'm going to kind of introduce it now. So the tutoring program is upper class students tutoring students that are in classes below them. The upper class student gets paid federal work study dollars for the tutoring that they do. The student receiving tutoring does not pay anything, so it is a win-win for both parties because the upperclassman gets paid and they get to review material that they will find on boards coming up in a year or so. So the tutoring program is the most obvious as far as peer mentoring programs, but we also have a big SIB program. So each of you will be assigned a student in the class above you that serves as your big SIB. And that is a huge, I'm having trouble with my vocabulary today. That is a huge benefit because again, they have been through what it is that you're going through, and that's your one-to-one assigned person. So big SIBs are a big deal. And then there's a lot of other peer support that happens in affinity groups or our clubs. So if you join the ocular disease club or if you join the private practice club, then you're going to find students that are further along in the program with your similar interests, and it naturally forms a peer mentoring situation as well. In addition to that, I highly recommend and remind our first year students, which I have access to the most because I teach first year courses, to rely on their classmates. No one knows what you're going through any better than the person sitting next to you. And all of us have good days and bad days. So when you're having a good day, I encourage our students to reach out and find somebody who's having a bad day. And when they're having a bad day, look for those that are having a good one. We are all in this together. SCO, one of the things that I'm most proud about at SCO is that this is a community success program. We want everyone to do well. We want all of you to graduate as the best optometrist possible, and we want you to use each other to make that happen. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Let's see. You kind of addressed kind of what you can expect from a peer mentor, but do you want to elaborate any more on what students can expect from their peer mentors?
I would say anytime you ask, it's if you have siblings, and you asked your like actual siblings and you asked your older brother or sister what things were going to be like, I would expect them to paint the picture a little bit more dramatically than that which they actually went through. So while there is that support, I do at the same time encourage you to take any feedback from an upper class student that seems out of bounds as just that. But what I expect from your peer mentor is humor, humility, honesty, and support. Again, we hammer it from day one. We are all here to succeed, and we want to bring each other with us. You all have come into this field because you want to help others. And the best way to start that is by starting with your classmates, day one, class one.
Wonderful, thank you. And then the last question for this particular section, what is the role of yourself, the Director of Academic Support Services in academic advising?
So my role is, in addition to having to meet with your faculty advisor should something go wrong. So if in any of your midterms, for example, we just had midterms 2 weeks ago, if you scored a C- or below on that exam, then I alert your faculty on any exam. Then I alert your faculty advisor and they have a meeting with you to see what it is that you think happened, what you could do differently, and if there's any resources that they can help you locate that you did not locate for yourself that we think would make a difference. My role is to make sure that that happens, that those meetings occur. And then in addition, if I notice that a student has done poorly on more than 2 exams, then they meet with me as well. My unofficial role, so that's my official role, is to deal with your grades. My unofficial role is to help you carry the emotional burden of not doing as well as you have likely done your entire academic career. SCO is often the first time that anyone has made a B or a C or, Lord forbid, a D. And so I am here to hug you, wipe your tears, and then send you on your way. So I am an unofficial counselor of sorts. Then if it is obvious that you are dealing with more than what I can handle, then I also make certain that you're aware of any additional mental health counseling services that we have available, which we do in multiple forms.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Alrighty, let's
Mhm.
move on to the next slide. So concerning tutoring, starting off, what support services are available to students who are experiencing academic challenges?
So tutoring is available, but not just for those experiencing academic challenges. If you are making a B in a class and you wish you were making an A, if you are doing well on the tests, but you don't feel like you have the concepts down, you can get a tutor for any class at any time. So it does not have to be because you are not doing well in a class. We make those tutor matches based on who needs it the most. So you might have to wait a second for your tutor assignment if you're doing well, but you do not have to be not doing well to get a tutor. I'm actually just going to go down to the next question, which is how do students access tutoring services once enrolled in SCO? There is a survey on Iris, which is our SharePoint. So on our collective website for the school, there is a survey that you fill out for each course that you would like tutoring in. I have work study students who make the matches. And so you simply just have to fill out a survey, let us know which class you would like tutoring. And if you already have a relationship with an upperclassman that you know as a tutor, you can actually say, this person and I have figured out that we want to be together, and we would honor that. Actually, I think I'll just keep going down if that's okay, Avery.
No, please go ahead.
So as I said before, it is the upper class students that provide tutoring to the lower class students, meaning a third year and second year. Either a second year or a third year would be tutoring a first year. A third year would be tutoring second years. Our fourth years tutor, but not very often, and usually for boards. So it is an upper class student. The benefit of that is that it is someone who has been through that course that you are taking, and they have experience with that faculty instructor as well as the material itself. And as I said, the upperclassman gets federal work study money for doing so. It is provided at no cost to the student receiving the tutoring. As far as test anxiety, and similar, so basically anything that might hinder your performance that is not related to the keeping of information, then we have mental health support. So we have an in-person counseling service here in Memphis called Concern. They are our SAP, which is our student assistance program, and they provide free counseling to our students on a one-on-one basis. They have telehealth options as well as in-person counseling, as I said. Secondary to that, we have virtual counseling available because our students, as you go forward in the curriculum, you have less and less free time, and most of your free time is outside of normal office hours. And so that puts a damper on how much counseling we can get through a place like Concern. So we added the resource of the virtual care group, which is online counseling, kind of like what you would think of with that BetterHelp that we hear about all the time. And the benefit of that is that they have very flexible hours and can pretty much set you up with a counselor that will have free time at the same time you do. So there's multiple avenues for receiving counseling. We also require that all of our students have their own health insurance. And so you are absolutely welcome to seek counseling services through your own insurance. We do not require you to use our resources. We just want you to know that they are there. And then lastly, if a student has a disability, does SCO offer accommodations? We do. We have an accommodations committee that will sit with, so you would have to submit information, including reports from a licensed psychologist or psychiatrist or a learning specialist to document any sort of divergences that you have in learning. So we would need evidence that there is a learning processing disorder or something of that nature. And then our committee would sit down with that information and determine whether or not accommodations are appropriate for you. I will say that we try to be very conservative in the giving of accommodations at this level of education because national boards, which all of you will have to take, is very, very conservative about allowing for accommodations. And so what we don't want is for you to have habituated yourself to time and a half, for instance, on a test or something like that, and then not have that for boards. So our committee will try to look at what do they think boards would say about your situation, and then what would we say about your situation, and kind of meet in the middle. I am not on that committee, so I am frankly speaking a little bit out of my own expertise, but I don't think that I've said anything inappropriate.
Wonderful, thank you so much. All righty, moving on, talking about student wellness. So starting off, how does SCO foster student wellness? And I suppose this is either for you, Dr. Leibowitz, or you, Dr. Pepper.
Well, I'm talking, so I'll keep going and then Jeanette can take over. So again, SCO, I think the best thing that we do from the get-go is to establish a relationship between you and your peers. Because again, I don't believe anyone is as effective at getting you through tough times as someone that is going through a similar tough time. So we will have lots of engagement activities. There's tons of, like I said, affinity group or interest groups, interest clubs that you can get involved in. I think the more connections you make at SCO, the easier it is to get by at SCO. I think that your involvement in these clubs and things like that will really, really, really foster more relationships with students outside of your class, but also in class as well. You're going to get to know your, actually, I'll stop there because I think this comes up later. I'm going to stop there.
Okay, so I'll pick up with student wellness. One thing is that we have intramurals, right, where students who like to stay active and stuff, there's a lot of competition or whatever as far as groups that do participate in intramurals. We will talk about the specific groups, like that Dr. Leibowitz mentioned, that foster belonging and those sorts of things for our students or what have you. One thing that is a fact, and Dr. Leibowitz alluded to this, is that students who succeed in professional school need to get involved in at least some sort of organization. Once you start to build that community, that helps with student wellness, because we can't say it enough. No one else knows what you're going through except for the persons who sit in those classrooms with you, right? So they'll be the ones to say, hey, are you okay? What's going on? That sort of thing. But then it'll come to us, or it may even come to your faculty advisor that, hey, something may not be quite right. Or sometimes it's just, we see you as a faculty member. I teach in the second year, so I teach a lab. So even though there are 136 students, 130 some odd students in a class, my lab groups are 30 groups of 30 or less, maybe 33, 34, something like that. And so I get to see the students even closer face to face, and I will definitely ask them, hey, something isn't right with you. You all right? What's going on? That sort of thing. And sometimes they say something, sometimes they don't, but I usually will get an email that says, thanks for checking on me. I appreciate it. So you have those types of professors here at the college to make sure that you are okay, right? And when you have those faculty advisor relationships in the very beginning, when you're trying to get to know them and stuff, they'll ask questions like, okay, where are you from? Right? Is this your first time away from home? And when you understand those sorts of things, that this is their first time away from home, they're 9 hours away from home, and they're taking 20 some odd credit hours of all science with labs, you know that they may have some struggles transitioning and stuff. So getting to know the students is one of the biggest things that helps with identifying or directing students in wellness opportunities and stuff.
Wonderful, thank you. So then the next question, I suppose, could also be for both of you. How does SEO help students adjust to life in Memphis, i.e. housing, budgeting, etc.?
Well, actually, Avery, I would say that's more of a question for you, because student services does so much for our students before you get here. The housing fair is incredibly helpful. Your time with, oh my goodness, financial affairs will be helpful. SCO, I think, does a great job of preparing you before you get here. And then a lot of our first year faculty members, myself included, I will in the first couple of weeks in my class, like we'll have a 2-minute discussion on what restaurants have you found, or who likes what grocery store, or where's your favorite gas station, or whatever. And so that I kind of assist the students in sharing that resource with one another. I believe that student services also provides, or I know that somewhere, somehow, there is a publication on our favorite places to eat, as well as the grand and great barbecue debate on who has the best barbecue in Memphis. So the good news is that we talk a lot. And so you will find out a lot about our lives in Memphis from the get-go. The good news is that we love living here in Memphis, and so we're happy to share with you what it is that we love about this city. So I have really addressed the kind of soft side of that, but as far as actual information, I'm going to leave that to someone else.
And yeah, I could actually hop in there. Yes, as Dr. Leibowitz said, student services really does a lot to help with the transition for students before they arrive on campus. So essentially, as soon as you are accepted, you are connected with current ambassadors, you're included in some regular communication with us. We offer regular virtual, we call them happy hours, where you're able to meet with other incoming students virtually and talk with current ambassadors. And you're given a lot of opportunities to ask real questions about life in Memphis. And as Dr. Leibowitz said, we have a really great housing fair every spring where students who've been accepted come back to campus just to talk about housing, just to learn about housing opportunities and speak with representatives of different housing complexes. And at every step, we really talk about how much we really want to assist students. We do not tell students where to live. We do not have any relationships with apartment complexes. So it's really, of course, always the student's choice about where is the best environment for them, but we want to be as helpful and transparent as possible so students never feel that they're going into it alone. So more than anything, we always help students, in addition to all of the events or documents that we provide, to ask us questions. That is the best way to get a lot of your answers to things like housing and life in Memphis. And then Dr. Pepper, anything to add on that question?
No, ma'am.
Wonderful. So then moving on, who is the first point of contact for students needing academic, emotional, or personal support?
I guess technically that would be me, as well as the next question as well, but not really. As Dr. Pepper said, if you are in lab and one of your faculty members asks if you're okay, tell them. I mean, it is really whoever's available. It can be your first point of contact for students needing academic, emotional, or personal support. I am always here for everyone, but I am also fully aware that my personality does not appeal to everyone. And so I encourage our students to reach out to your faculty advisor. If you don't like your faculty advisor either, but you like your lab instructor, then go to them. There is no one that is that is out of bounds. Everyone can be approached for help. Again, one of the best assets that we have going as an institution is that we are a standalone institution, meaning that from top to bottom, left to right, everything is about optometry, which means it's all about you. So you can tell Joyce, the security guard, that you're not feeling well that day for whatever reason, and she will find whoever it is that needs to help you. You can tell someone in the cafeteria that you're sad or that you're stressed out, and they will find some way to get you to what you need. Everyone is aware of the counseling resources. All faculty advisors have that information. And there's also little posters all over campus reminding you of your counseling services. So the true answer is probably me, but I should say the technical answer is probably me, but the true answer is anyone.
You know what? Absolutely. And let me piggyback off this, because one thing that I love that Dr. Leibowitz talks about in orientation, she focuses on the student getting to know other students, right? You can't do optometry by yourself. You cannot. There's no way possible. So the more that you engage with your classmates, the better. And if a student sees that another student is not feeling as well, or maybe not doing as well academically, or needs some more personal support or what have you, we love it when students reach out to that student and say, hey, you may need to reach out to this doctor or that person, or try to see if you can talk with someone about getting counseling, something. Sometimes students hear it better from one another than from us. And so when students take it upon themselves to care about their other classmates, people who are in their cohort, people who are going to be honest, be a part of who they are from here on out, because it's a part of the optometry journey, it makes the belonging aspect of the college so much more robust. So I love that when students are given the opportunity that they too um, are points of contact for things of that nature, it makes it much easier, because like Dr. Leibowitz said, it's like 50 faculty, but there are 500 students. So we may miss something that students don't miss, right? And so we want to make sure that you all are empowered to help one another as well. You may not know the answer, but you may be like the person that they can get the ball rolling or get that door open to the services that they need.
Wonderful, thank you. And I know this was mentioned a little bit early with concern, but just to kind of elaborate, are students paired with specific counselors, or is there one general counselor who's available to serve the entire student population? I suppose this is for academic, but also, emotional support as well.
Um, as far as mental health counseling, the answer would be neither. You are neither paired with a specific counselor, nor is there one general counselor who is available to the entire population. Instead, we have multiple resources so that we hope you are never in a long line of waiting. So as we mentioned before, concern is available to you, and I think more impactful than even concern, because of the flexibility of their scheduling, is the virtual care group, which is that online virtual counseling. In addition, you are always welcome to come and talk to me. I do a lot of counseling. I am not trained to do a lot of counseling. So that being said, I'm not saying that to say that I'm overstepping my bounds. There's just so much that I can do as far as my advice goes. The good news about seeking advice from me is that because I'm not a licensed counselor, you can ignore what you don't like and use what you do like. And you can just ignore the part and be like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. And you would not be wrong. Um, but I but I do know what it's like to be in optometry school. I do know what it's like to not do as well as you have done before. I do know what it's like to be disappointed in yourself. I do know what it's like to move away from your mother after a long period of time. So I know what it is like to be a human being in optometry school. I am very open with my own shortcomings because I think that makes me a better person. And so I will accept you with all of your shortfalls, just with as much love as I have for myself. So I think that's why I am appealing as a counselor, because I really have very little judgment. So you are welcome to come talk to me. And again, if you don't like what I say, technically you could ignore it.
Let me say this, y'all.
I knew she'd get me.
You're getting true Dr. Leibowitz. She's not sugarcoating anything. But I will say that she's been in the game for a while, so she does know what she's talking about. And this is why students love talking with her, because she gets it, right? You can't talk to someone about being in professional school and the stressors without you can do that, but it's easier to talk to somebody who's been there just like you have. Now, there are some things that's beyond her scope, absolutely, but she is a great resource. And I will tell you that I go and talk to Dr. Leibowitz when I'm feeling down and I need somebody to bounce ideas off of and stuff like that. So I don't want you to think that she's playing herself short or anything, because she's actually one of the most amazing faculty members we have on the campus. One of the reasons why she's like she interfaces so well with students.
They call the joke around school is that I'm the mom of SCO. And I am not your mom, but I do find that I take that role on, in that if you come in my office feeling down about yourself, then I absolutely will help to build you up. Counter to that, if you come in my office feeling too good about yourself, I will take you down a peg. So I just like to keep everybody in the realm of reasonable behavior, and I do my best to do that. And thank you, Dr. Pepper. And Dr. Pepper counsels me as well. See, it is a community.
It is a community. Good deal.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. Yes, okay, so next up for questions talking about inclusion efforts. Starting off, given the large class size, how do students achieve a sense of belonging?
Okay, so this is me, I think. So one of the things that we do is we emphasize in orientation that you get to know each other. And I think Student Services does a great job of this prior to you coming here with the Facebook group, with the virtual happy hours and things of that nature. We want you to realize that, again, no one gets through optometry school alone. And the more you are engaging and you are active within SCO, the more of that sense of belonging happens, right? And so there are smaller groups where you have labs where you get to know people even more closely by either, practicing on one another, or you're seeing them day in and day out in the same groups and stuff like that. So we encourage you to get to know each other that way. But then also it is the affinity groups that Dr. Leibowitz was talking about, or just groups that interest you. You'll find that SCO has a lot of student organizations. I think one of the reasons why we have so many organizations is because we realize that we are a single program institution. And so students coming from universities and stuff that have so many things available to them that interest them, what we try to do is make sure that we have organizations that pique our students' interests, their career interests going forward. So we encourage you to be a part of a organization. You don't have to be a part of all of them, right? But at least one organization where you are actively engaged, where you feel that sense of community. That's one thing there. And then also, we foster a sense of belonging by having you interact with alumni, with our Focus on Your Future groups, our Focus on Your Future seminars or what have you, just because we want to make sure that you see people who are doing what you want to do, who have graduated from the college, who are doing different modes of practice and stuff, so that you feel like, okay, I can see myself doing this, or no, not so much doing that. So the biggest thing there is getting involved and staying involved. That's what fosters that sense of belonging.
I would just add to that your lab groups, like Dr. Pepper intimated earlier about, she has a smaller group of people in her lab. That is the case all through. So your lab group will be your first opportunity to get to know people in a smaller group setting. So as a first year, I think your lab groups have like 27 max, maybe 28 max. And so that'll be a small group of people that you have all of your labs with. So you'll get to know that group first. You'll also get to know whoever you end up sitting next to. It's a really fun thing to watch, but students tend to find their permanent quote unquote seat in class. And so you'll get to know the people that sit around you in lecture as well.
Great, thank you. So next question, how does SEO create an inclusive environment for students?
Okay, so the welcoming environment is slightly different than the sense of belonging. The sense of belonging is, okay, I feel a part of this. I can speak what I need to speak without feeling less than, or without not being fully who I am. The inclusive environment is trying to be welcoming for all, right? So one, we try to set the tone at orientation just to talk about not only just welcoming everybody, but giving everyone grace when they're coming from so many different geographical locations, or what have you from there. Okay, so that's one part. Another part is there is programming throughout the year that highlights different interests in students. So we have something for Hispanic Heritage Month. We'll do something for um, Lunar New Year. I host meetups or lunches with my first generation college students just to come and talk, get advice from other upperclassmen and stuff like that, just to be themselves and to feel like that they matter. Like what I have coming up is an event for Women's History Month. So what we try to do is we try to highlight things that are important to students. So for example, I just thought another one, if for veterans, like usually for my veterans, that are students or faculty or staff, they're getting some sort of treat. So it's either going to be some cookies, some donuts, something for Veterans Day. We try to highlight also holidays that may be with the cultural focus on the bi-weekly newsletter and on the monitors throughout the campus so that people know what things are highlighted this month and that sort of thing. So we did something for, we had a speaker come in on Courageous Conversations for Black History Month earlier this week, or not this week, earlier this month. So all sorts, and then I'm also coordinating this. I haven't advertised this, so y'all the first to know this, but I have a speaker from Rhodes College coming in to talk about health equity in Memphis. So all of these things are all activities that try to say, hey, we acknowledge you, we acknowledge what you bring to the table, and we want you to know that. So when I did something for Lunar New Year last year, I had a student come up to me and ask me if we did anything for Cambodian New Year. And I was like, Cambodian New Year? I didn't know that there was a Cambodian New Year. So like, I was like, okay, we may not, and that's actually in April, by the way. So I was like, okay, we at least gonna put something on a monitor, put it on our newsletter, just so that people know that we are acknowledging that what they have coming up is important. We have students that are gonna be participating in Ramadan next month. So we're gonna send something out that says, hey, we have students who are in Ramadan, so be mindful of them going through this holy time of their religion. And then also we have spaces in the library for people who want to use that for meditation and for prayer, what have you, so that they have space to do that while they're on campus. So there are several things that we do. In June, it's going to be the LGBTQ heritage, or not heritage, but LGBTQ month, where we celebrate the achievements of those persons. Or we may even bring someone on campus to come and talk about those specific topics and stuff. So we really try to make sure we connect with where our students are so that they feel welcome.
Thank you so much. And then how does SCO prepare students to examine diverse patients?
All right, so what we have done is, I will say that the accrediting body for optometry has specified that there are cultural competency concepts in the curriculum, right? So we are actually currently going through our career. I just kicked it off on Monday, y'all. Going through our curriculum to see where we have what we're doing now, and to see what areas we can improve upon to foster inclusive care of our patients. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is that we have different community service events that may focus on a particular population that's usually marginalized, that we can help them as well. So I know that we've done something for our homeless population, homeless persons in Memphis. Sometimes it may be at a school that's in the city, or sometimes schools that are out in the urban, or excuse me, the county or the suburban areas where there may be vision screenings, or there may be eye exams, or it may just be coming and talk about, what optometry is as a profession. But also we have to realize that Memphis is 80% persons of color. 80%, and that's going to include Black patients, Hispanic or Latino patients, and it's going to include Asian, primarily Vietnamese, maybe even some, there's a Chinese and other Asian populations here in Memphis. So what we want to do is give them exposure to that, let them know about our community. That's why I'm really excited about the health equity lecture that is coming up, because what that will do is give persons an idea about what are the concerns or what are the driving forces for our particular community, and that they are able to connect with those patients. What we find now is that treating every patient the same does not work. What you want to do is make sure that you connect with each patient individually, and that way you can adjust from there. And so with our adjustments to our curriculum and giving students exposure to doing that, that's how we prepare our students to examine a diverse patient body.
Thank you. And then for yourself, Dr. Pepper, and this is a correction, the coordinator for, or excuse me, the director for diversity, equity, and inclusion, what is your role and what does that encompass?
So what I do is I am charged with making sure that we have diverse students, we have a diverse employee population, we have equitable practices from hiring, from the application cycle, from seeing patients, and then we make all those groups who step into our campus community feel welcome, right? So that's huge. That's big. I even say that like, dang, that's what I do? Wow. So I take it bit by bit though, because I can't do it all at once. But things such as helping student groups host programming, helping faculty and staff with trainings or with ways that they can enhance either their classroom or their efforts with their departments or on their jobs. Connecting with students to make sure that they feel welcome as well, giving everyone the tools that they need to have an inclusive campus environment. So, but I'm also charged with recruiting. So I have an admissions hat as well, where I go to different schools and recruit students for the program. And I help supervise the summer program for underrepresented students as well. So it's a pretty big charge, to be honest with you, but I am grateful for the opportunity.
She's amazing.
She truly is. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And for our last question, is Memphis as a community that, excuse me, is Memphis a community that overall is welcoming and supportive, even though it is located in a region that has a reputation of not supporting some underrepresented identities?
So that is such a great question, y'all, because we are in Tennessee, and the state of Tennessee has a color to it, right? As far as the political landscape. But I will tell you that we're located in Shelby County, and I will say that we're one of the more welcoming to all sorts of people. And what does that mean? That means that so many identities, underrepresented identities, are in Shelby County, and we are on the edge of where downtown and midtown meet. We are in midtown, and I will tell you that midtown Memphis is eclectic, it is celebratory, it is accepting and welcoming. So you don't really get that feel of on our campus that you won't be welcomed, regardless of your particular identity. Dr. Leibowitz, you want to add something to that?
I think you did a much more, I think you said it in a way that I can't say it. So I think you did a great job.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty then, wonderful. Moving on. So that would bring us to talk about our student organizations. And on the screen here, we have some of our diverse or representative student organizations listed. Would either Dr. Pepper or Dr. Leibowitz like to talk about these organizations or any of the organizations that we offer students?
Yeah, so I wanted to bring up these organizations because I wanted our participants to know what things that are happening on our campus. So I bring up the American Optometric Student Association because this organization actually has different arms inside of it that is focused on diverse populations and getting more underrepresented persons into optometry. So I appreciate the efforts that the AOSA is doing. The one I'm most proud of is Amigos. So I hosted a event a couple years ago, I think it was, for Hispanic Heritage Month, where students just came and talk about where they're from and what things they're proud of and stuff. And they kept mentioning that they spoke Spanish at home, but they don't speak it as much here. And they formed a group out after that, where it's called Amigos, where people who either speak Spanish and want to just continue speaking in Spanish just to have conversation, to enhance their skills, or people who don't know Spanish at all and want to be a part of the conversation. This student group is dedicated to that. So I'm really proud of that organization. Gamma Omicron. So this is our women focused group to give professional opportunities, networking, development, all sorts of things. And so Gamma Omicron is the group I'm working with to do the Women's History Month event. We're bringing trailblazers from the university. So we have the University of Tennessee Health Sciences Center right down the street. So they have like UT Medicine, UT Pharmacy, UT Dental, UT, what is it? Public, not, they do have public health, but I was thinking of, I can't think of it right now, but you get it. It's like their health sciences group, health sciences school, excuse me. And it's like the premier one of the state. But we're having trailblazers from the School of Medicine who is a woman, and the trailblazer from the dental school who is a woman, to be on a panel with our trailblazer here, Dr. Lisa Wade, to talk about their journey from how they got into optometry either in the 80s or the 90s and how they've made it thus far. So I'm excited about that one. The National Optometric Student Association, that is NOSA. So this organization is dedicated to improving the health of minority populations. So with this particular organization, this is where a lot of students who are underrepresented regarding their race or ethnicity will be a part of NOSA to get that camaraderie and what have you. There are students who are not in the underrepresented by race who still are a part of this because they recognize that us helping one another and us supporting one another is how we grow. Spectrum is an amazing organization. This is for people who are either allies to or who identify on the LGBTQ spectrum and who like to have either educational things that come out of this or just more support with this. So I am proud of this group as well. And then lastly, the Public Health Vision Care Association. This organization is just dedicated to making sure or grooming or helping students be aware of how important public health is and how understanding public health they're able to collaborate with each of these organizations to do different activities and stuff to promote health and well-being. So there are other organizations here at SCO that are not mentioned, but these are the ones that I am aware of that are doing things that are directly helping inclusivity, belonging, and that sort of thing on campus.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Well, that'll bring us to our segment for questions. So if any of our attendees have any questions for Dr. Leibowitz or Dr. Pepper, please be sure to put them into the chat. But while we're waiting for any questions, do either of you have any closing comments or statements?
Nothing off the top of my head.
No, not really. I just appreciate everyone being a part of this and being willing to listen to us talk about SCO.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I'm looking in the Q&A and the chat. Doesn't seem like we have any questions, but both of your emails are up on the screen. So are you open to anyone reaching out if they have any specific questions?
Sure.
Yeah, that'll work.
Wonderful. Alrighty then. Well, that then brings us to the end of our webinar. I know we have covered a lot of wonderful information today, and I hope this webinar has been of assistance to all of you as you start on your optometric journey. Join us next month for a webinar all about Memphis and why our students love living and learning in this city. If you haven't done so already, I invite you all to request more information by signing up for our inquiry form. You'll receive a personal advisor and a personal brochure with information relevant to your goals and experiences. Thank you so much, Dr. Leibowitz and Dr. Pepper, especially Dr. Leibowitz. I know you're coming to us on your sickbed for sharing of your time and experiences. And a special thank you to the attendees who have joined us. We'll be sure to see you next time and take care.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.